Now, I had said yesterday I wasn't probably going to say the name Breitbart ever again, and then like 30 seconds later, I said the name, and and then I
Well,
realized
I'm just interested in
I'm
your
going to say
take in
Breitbart.
general. Yeah, I'm interested in your take in general. Just, I think I mean, just from an interesting perspective, just because obviously you had quite a few tets. That's probably not the right way of putting it, but where you guys went back and forth on Twitter, and I don't know. I'm just interested. I'm for one of these times. I know I'm the guest here, but I'm kind of interested in your perspective, if you don't mind giving
Well,
it.
we do have a widely circulated YouTube up of my comments yesterday, but let me say this.
I'm sorry about that. Then
It's
I
all
missed that apparently.
right. It's not. The
I have Majority Report tattooed on my back, but once in a while I do miss an episode, and I do apologize.
I don't know. Did you see the Matt Taibbi piece on him?
I did. I read that last night.
And
I thought
what did you think about that one?
it was a pretty honest piece. I mean, was it harsh? Sure, it was harsh. Taibbi tends to be that way. I thought it was honest. I'll say quickly before you say, I asked you, but I might as well tell people, I don't know, whoever follows me on Twitter or saw anything I wrote, I try to take a balanced perspective because while I don't believe in saying ding dong the witch is dead and being mean, because as somebody who has kids and whatever, the guy has 4 kids, he has a family, and so really it's not about my sympathy for him, of which I really don't have any. It's really about he does have a family, and so for that I try to not sit around and be like, ha, he's dead. On the other hand, what I can't stand, and I'm not going to criticize other progressives, but I did see a lot of people doing this, which is suddenly when somebody does terrible things when they're alive, the minute they die, it's like, well, there was an honest patriot fighting for his cause and all that. No, I'm not going to also lie and pretend the guy was any less than he was. I think the tweet I sent out that's most representative of what I think is, my condolences to Breitbart's family, but also to the families of all those who lost their livelihoods and were defamed and whose lives were destroyed because of what he did while he was alive.
Right.
And that's honestly the way I feel. I do feel sad for his family, as I do for anybody's family who loses a father, kids who lose a father at a young age. But at the same time, how many kids have fathers and mothers, who lost their jobs because of this guy, who lost their livelihoods, who are poorer and don't have health care and have rougher lives because of the vicious way and really amoral and basic borderline sociopathic way he behaved. And I think to forget that just because he died, I think is, where does that standard, where does that standard stop? I mean, Francisco Franco dies. Do we say he was an awesome guy? I mean, again, I'm not saying that Breitbart was as bad. I'm just saying if we're not going to tell the truth when people die, where do we stop doing that? So
Right.
that's my piece. You can say what you think about that.
No, I mean, I think my sense was quite similar to that, and I think I actually sort of retweeted a couple of things that you said. I actually got I saw the information when I was on the subway, because I sort of load up Twitter when I take the subway, and then I get off, and then I just started retweeting a bunch of stuff. But as I was reading Taibbi's piece, and Taibbi basically said, a douchebag has died. And I don't necessarily disagree with that. I actually found what actually sort of bothered me about Taibbi's piece was that he validated some of the stuff in that Acorn video. And I mean, I'm not saying that I think Taibbi's piece was actually too generous, but I think maybe it might have been, because you know what? At the end of the day, I don't care about Andrew Breitbart. I mean, like I said yesterday, I feel badly, like you do, for any children who are orphaned. But
for him, no. I mean, I don't
even care about him as a human being. There's not enough room. If I was to care for him as a human being, I would be paralyzed with how many other people I would have to care about that I barely know or vaguely know or aware of, because
I couldn't agree more.
There was tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, Iraqi civilians that died because I paid taxes, that were killed because I paid taxes. So there's not enough room for me as a human being to care for him as a person. It's easier for me to feel badly for his children. But what I think is really the point is that his work, and yes, I get that he was an entrepreneur and whatnot. You know who else is an entrepreneur? The guy who did Girls Gone Wild. He's a real entrepreneur. He really figured something out about direct mailing too. And I'm not going to praise him on his death.
Well, I'm sure there's people with sex slavery rings and all sorts of things you could call entrepreneurs.
I mean,
it's what you create
you don't even have to go that
matters.
far. You don't even have to go that
far.
I know,
and I don't mean to compare him 100%. Right, I'm just saying. Right.
Yeah. But we don't even we could say Girls Gone Wild. The guy who did Cheaters, that TV show, I think he was also a genius, frankly. The guy who came up with that idea. I've watched that show. It's unbelievably entertaining. So that's fine. I'm willing to say that Breitbart was an entrepreneur. But let's face it, the idea of even validating anything about that Acorn attack, yes, they did get one woman somewhere saying stuff that was inappropriate. She was a bad worker at Acorn. But there is no doubt in my mind that I could go to any large institution across the country and find something equally reprehensible, if not more reprehensible than that. And he used his entrepreneurship to essentially disenfranchise people from our democracy.
And he preyed on people, like the important point, and you just made it. If I went and into Goldman Sachs or any of these places, and I walked up to some of the less knowledgeable people, younger, or there are people who were answering the phones, or they were doing what, I'm sure I could find ways to victimize people. And I don't, to do that again. That's what bothered me. And yeah, and I disagree with Tybee on that, just because maybe what a few people say in a large organization isn't representative of that entire organization.
Right, and kind of important. And I say this with the full knowledge of this coming off of some prank phone calls we replayed to Santorum's office that I did 3 or 4 years ago. I mean, I understand, and I did understand Breitbart, I think particularly because in many ways, we were in the same playing field. I would make prank phone calls to the offices of, and I don't really call them prank phone calls, but I would make phone calls to the offices of politicians. And, I know I'm talking to a receptionist, or sometimes I'm talking to their communications director, and I leave it at that. It's a comedy bit that may have shed some light on this, but he never stopped there. The idea that this guy considered himself, and he's written up as a merry prankster. The merry pranksters did not pull their pranks as a way of attacking the weak and disenfranchised in our society. They did it as a way of attacking those with power who were not able to be attacked but with satire. So when this guy goes and says, I'm just about uncovering, he is a reactionary. The idea that he was going to uncover the racism that is involved in black organizations is just a farce. It's a joke. This man was not using a satire as a tool because it was the only tool available to attack the powerful. No, he was using satire as a way to pick on little people and to disenfranchise. And, so I have no respect for his work. That's the thing.
That's right. That's important.
I don't care about him as a person.
You weren't trying to bring down any
I have
institution,
no respect for his work. And if anything,
it's just important though that I think, yes, you could compare yourself in some ways to what you did. Totally different. It's like Santorum's office wasn't going to shut down. People weren't going to lose their jobs, and the whole thing wasn't going to the whole thing wasn't going to be destroyed and people disenfranchised by what you did. I think there's a huge difference between making fun of an organization and actively going to try to hurt an organization that helps people and hurting those people.
I don't,
what I mean?
I don't even see, Frank, to be honest with you, I don't even see that big of a distinction in that regard. The difference is that he did this on the, he tried to align himself with Abby Hoffman. And he many times equated himself to the yippies. But he is wrong. His legacy is a wrong interpretation of his life when he led it. It was a misguided and deluded self-perception of his work. because the fact of the matter is that intrinsic in what they were doing was using the only arrow in the quiver they could against powerful forces. This man worked in a reactionary way. So the tactics are not the issue. It is the targets that he chose. And it is much easier for me as a bully to go and mock the shortest kid and the weakest kid on the playground. It is a fundamental difference. And so, I don't even care. The idea of calling him a douchebag like Taibbi did, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant because you know what? There are douchebags out there whose work I admire. The fact of the matter, his work was reprehensible. And that is the part of his legacy that people should be attacking. That is the part. It is, forget him as an individual. It is the legacy. And the only way that I refer only to his self-delusion because that was a way for him to spin what his work was. This is a man who had no interest or understanding of policy. He could not state a single conservative programmatic thing, and he was self-professed not interested in it. All he was interested in was attacking a personality type that he perceived and calling it politics. And he was interested in attacking those who would, what was it that he thought that Acorn was doing? What was it that they were doing that he was so hell-bent on, Now, his thing on, the Wiener thing, it doesn't bother me as much. But his attacks on minorities.
Well, yeah, that was more going after the power, someone who was in a position of power. And no, you know what? But here's the thing: I mostly agree with you. The reason why I disagree a little bit on the tactics part is, again, it's all how you want to describe tactics. To me, who you're going after is a part of the tactics. In other words, if you were going places and you were victimizing people who are lower level workers at larger organizations, even if they were investment banks or places like that, I think that there's a cruelty to that. I don't think there is, somebody who's a communications director or whoever for Santorum is actively going to decide to get a job for somebody who is who we know what Santorum is because he's opened his mouth a lot lately. I don't need to go into what kind of guy he is. And so I think that's an important. I guess I think we're arguing the same thing in a slightly different way, because the choices of who to go after, which is organizations that help people, but also the people he went after. He didn't call I don't know if Acorn had a CEO, but he didn't call the people at the top. He didn't go after the people at the top. He went after people who he knew were more vulnerable at the bottom to try to embarrass, hurt them, and then also hurt the greater organization by doing that. And again, as you pointed out, the best thing about, if you want to look at Breitbart and use him as an example of conservative culture, he fits it to a T. You nailed him that time, which I think he blocked you on Twitter when you pointed out his Hollywood resentment.
Yes.
The truth is, the thing is that, of course, he didn't believe any specific policy goal. He didn't have any policies he wanted to actually achieve, because the conservatism today is completely based upon resentment and hatred of others. It's not based on, and again, it's not to say conservatism was always this noble thing. These people were always there, but the paranoid fringe has taken over the entire body. So even those that were more moderate conservatives, who I think actually had a program of balancing budgets and doing things that you and I might disagree with, but were reasonable things in a democratic society, they've been pushed out. And so in a way, he's so representative of who conservatives are today. Think about it. He's a guy that became a conservative because he resented people that didn't like him. He didn't like them, and so they were liberal. They had to be bad, so he was going to hurt them and destroy them. That's what his conservatism was based upon. It was based upon personal animus, resentment, status anxiety, and the rest. It wasn't based on, having these beliefs about how to better society through conservatism. That's part A. Part B, as you pointed out, is Part A gets you to Part B. Whereas, again, there were no programs, kind of like there weren't with Herman Cain and some of these other jokers, and really the guys who are left right now, all they can do is tear stuff down. They're entertainers.
Yes.
They're not actually people that are serious individuals. So it's no surprise that he represented conservatism that way, too. They may claim to have programs. Let's outlaw gay marriage and that'll make everything better. Is that really a program? there aren't programs about how to systematically deal with society's problems.
Right.
There's hatred. I hate you because you use birth control and you want me to pay for it. I hate you because you have sex in a way that I don't believe in. And on and on and on. And that is what he represented at its core. So in a way, he was really perfect.
I don't even think his hatred was that founded on even those values you're talking about. I
don't either.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing is I went and
it's not always. Let me say quickly because I want to be clear. It's not always the same hatred. But what conservatives are, they're a collection of hatreds.
Right.
I mean, some of it's race, some of it's religion, some of it's you didn't hold the door open for me when I was walking through. I hate you, you're liberal. Exactly. Now I'm going to become conservatism. I mean, there's all different kinds, but it's all based on different kinds of status anxiety, resentment, feeling of personal loss of power, and the rest. I'll let you. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt,
I think I saw a tweet by that guy Lee Stranahan. And Lee became one of Breitbart's acolytes and was sent down to Occupy Wall Street to try and find anybody he could find to put on videotape to claim that there was some type of rape there or something. And
he was a friend of mine, to be clear, at one point.
And he's a guy who I followed because I had remembered his videos in 2008 and sort of watched the trajectory of his career, and at various times felt sort of bad for him because it looked like he had a tough time sort of financially at one point, and then whatever. And he found a home with Breitbart, and I saw an exchange that he had, I think it was last night, where he sort of tweeted that he was a conservative, like it was some type of epiphany, and it was a function of of liberal lies. And it was just like, wait, what?
Lee's bought into it now. It's amazing.
I am not a liberal or progressive or a leftist because of conservatives. In fact, I don't even need those, labels per se. I don't define my political values relative at least at their heart, relative to the existence of other people who have other values. I happen to have these values that are based upon a notion of what I perceive society should be, not the fact that I don't like conservatives or I don't like, the liberal establishment. No, it's the opposite. It's the opposite. And there are so many of those conservatives who are just like, I don't like hippies, so I'm a conservative. Right. I don't like exactly right, the way, does Lee Stranahan
those
really
welfare
think that he
abusers
has a sense of what, how many liberals does he come into contact with? 100? 1,000? Does it matter? The bottom line is like my political ideology is a function of the way that I view what society should be organized as. Not that I don't like that guy who was such a dick to me the other day and he turns out to be a conservative, so I'm a liberal. That's literally what I'm going through with my 6-year-old daughter. I don't like the Giants. You have a positive program
for why you believe what you believe.
I don't like the Giants. I like the Patriots because Billy likes the Giants, and I don't like Billy. What? Are you 2? Oh, no, you're 6. Okay, that makes sense.
But you're making a very good point right now, is that conservatism now is based on I've made this comparison before, I've written about it in columns I've written, on very much exactly what you're saying right now, like childlike beliefs. I mean, when you watch your children in an essence, I hate to say this as I love mine, at some point young are kind of like sociopaths. You know what I mean? They want what they want. They don't understand compassion for others. If you've got their car, they're going to beat your little butt up to get it, their toy car, because they want it. And if you've got something they don't have, I've watched my kids fight before at times, and I'll say again, they can be lovely kids at times, so people don't think I'm ripping them, but I watched them fight because they didn't want something until the other one had it, but then they want it. You know what I mean? Well, that's conservatism. You know what I mean? It's basically people that never grew up, which is that's like Ayn Rand, right? Mm. The model of her character was a famous psychopath, right? I think who kidnapped and killed somebody. That's what these people idol. That's the idol to them. That's the top thing. You rise above the quote unquote slave morality, a little Nietzsche there. You know what I mean? And you embrace you basically are able to not lock yourself into having to obey the rules of a society where there's a common good, and you realize the good for others is in most cases good for you, but you actually just resent people for who they are and what they have, and that leads you to be a conservative.
Right.
You know what I mean?
It's yeah. I mean, it's fascinating to see how this is playing out in terms of both from commentators across the spectrum. There's the issue of like, hey, you got to be nice to someone if they're dead, because apparently when you're dead, it's it's St. Peter or whoever it is, the guy at
right.
Is like, been going over the press reviews, but I don't know. I mean, that struck me. I wanted to touch base with you on that, but let's move because we don't have too much time. But I think we've said enough, and the only I just think that people should be, it's irrelevant to me, who Breitbart was. What's more important is that people should be attacking the work that he did, because it was really
right.
Really,
well, look, I will be consistent.
The marketing aspect was great, but you know what? You can find a guy who games SEO and getting 1.3 million hits on YouTube with 14 comments because the guys figure out how to get into the recommendation list. Yeah, that exists. I mean,
right. I think this pretty much covered. We pretty much covered the whole thing. I just think it was important to say, and I just was trying to say from my perspective, just the same way I saw at every Republican debate they're cheering somebody else's death. Yay! The guy in the motorcycle without health insurance. Yay! The death penalty. I don't believe in cheering death, so I didn't sit there. I'm not someone. I don't even think as hard as I wanted to cheer for the death of Osama bin Laden. I even thought at that moment there's a moment where I'm damn glad the guy's dead. And I'm glad somebody put 2 in his eye, but I don't feel like I stand up and go, "Yay!" It's when you have to kill people, it's not a happy moment.
Right, and I don't think I mean, obviously, I know you're not making the comparison between Breitbart and Osama bin Laden, but I agree. I agree with you. I don't.
I'm just saying, in general, death is not something to be cheered. In my opinion, I'm just offering my opinion on this. So my response to Breitbart was to be a balanced one and say, I don't cheer death, but I also don't pretend he was a good person. I feel sorry for his family, but I'm not going to whitewash who he was and pretend he was a good person now because he's dead.
The funniest thing I heard, though, was I think it was Greg Gutfeld. What's that guy's name? The red-eye guy? Is it Gutfeld?
I think that is his name, yeah.
And some Fox commentator were like, he really embraced modern culture. And I just thought, like, what?
I don't even know what that means. Sadly, I think modern culture might have embraced him.
You're praising a guy for embracing modern culture? Who the F doesn't embrace modern culture these days?
I don't even know what that means.
He had no problem wrapping his arms around the idea of like Snooki or whatever. I mean, what the hell does that even mean?